Mother and Dad and I drove up from New Orleans to the campus. And we came in on the northwest side of the campus, which is Grand Boulevard, into the opening that now says still Harding College. We changed the other one to Harding University, but still says Harding College. We just left it as a kind of a keepsake, memento of the occasion. And we drove in and stopped at the end of Old Garden Hall, which is about the distance from the lily pool, as we used to call it, or the fountain, and the beginning of the administration building. That was the location of Old Garden Hall, big old castle-like building that had turrets, and it was so interesting. It just housed everything. But we stopped because there were three girls standing there by their building. They were Louise Nicholas of Strawberry, Arkansas, Burl Craver, and Wilena Floyd. And they were carrying brooms. They were putting them in the dorm rooms in case somebody wanted to sweep that year. And we stopped and asked them, will you please tell us where the administration building is? And they did. And it was the Olin Hendricks building, as we know it now. But back then, it was the administration and classroom building, science building. And so we went over there to see Dr. Benson, and he had a young man there with him named Hugh Rhodes, who was going to be a senior. And Hugh took me over again to Garden Hall, to my room, and we unloaded everything on the third floor, room 301, and put all my clothes and everything up there, and just looked around the campus through the day. Later, I learned that those three girls decided that I was the most stuck-up boy that ever hit that campus. I don't know why, except maybe it was because we drove up in a white Cadillac, Mother and Dad sitting in the front seat. I was sitting in the back seat with a white suit, a white hat, and a starched shirt and tie, coming to college. I didn't know how to come to college in Arkansas. Anyway, they found out later that I wasn't the most stuck up. But to add to that first day, it was Wednesday. School didn't start till the next Monday, so I was there a few days early just to get acquainted with the campus and everything. And this girl, Louise Nicholas, that I mentioned, one of the three, she was there working part of her way through school. And she literally was from Strawberry, Arkansas. It's unusual for me to have a town named that when I was from big New Orleans. Well, that Wednesday night, I just happened to sit across the table from her at supper. And somebody introduced me to Louise Nicholas of Strawberry, Arkansas. I recognized her as the girl that I saw the first 10 seconds I was on the campus. And then that night at church, again, somebody introduced me to Louise Nicholas of Strawberry, Arkansas. Fortunately, I didn't laugh. But Friday night, Houston Iton, who again was going to be a senior, asked me if I wanted to go walking, just walk around the campus, and I said, okay. And he got two girls. One of them was Louise Nicholas, and the other Nancy Fern Vaughn. Nancy Fern was going to be a senior, and I walked with her. And I kept wishing I could walk with Louise, because she was more my age. She was only going to be a sophomore. And Houston walked with her. Saturday night, he said, let's go walking. We did. He got three girls. I walked with Louise, and he walked with the other two. All together, of course, just around the campus. And the next morning, Sunday, we had to walk to church downtown, which is about 6 blocks away at Locust and Vine Street. And Houston said, Cliff, why don't you go over to Patty Cobb and get Louise to walk with us? His girlfriend, Frances Stewart, had come in that night, and he was going to go with her. And I said, okay. So I went over and started up the steps, and I got cold feet, and I said, no, I'll just go by myself. I went up and told Houston, I'm just going to go by myself. Oh, no, come and go with me and Frances. Okay. And lo and behold, Louise happened to come down with Frances. And so here I was with Louise Nicholas again. We walked to church. We walked home together. We ate lunch together in the cafeteria. And then that afternoon we walked about a mile, mile and a quarter out to the home where the older people lived to take communion to them. It's about a mile, mile and a quarter, something like that, out the old fairgrounds. And we took communion to them. We came back home, and I already had my wife. School didn't start till the next day. Now, we don't promise that to students, but the hunting's good at Harding. So those were the first few days on the campus. School started, and I fell in love with Harding just as I did with Louise. And 3 months later, she and I were sitting on the back seat of the old bus that we had here on the campus. And I leaned over to her and I said, "Louise, I'm going to marry you." And she said, "Oh, don't talk about things like that." We were both just 17 years old. But I said on anyway, and it worked. So we've been married now over 67 years. Harding's been good to me.